Are you playing Rune Factory in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread when you die because you don't have good equipment? Have you or your family ever tried looking for a crafting tutorial but couldn't find one that goes into great detail? If the answer is yes, don't wait another minute. Get out a pen and paper because I'm ready to believe you. I'm here to help. Cue the intro! Well, obvious Ghostbusters reference aside, this is a tutorial and I am here to help you. Because seriously, this is kinda confusing unless you've done it before. But before I get into the explanation of how to make powerful weapons, let me give you a warning. If you do this too early, it will make the game way too easy. And unless you enjoy annihilating monsters with a flick of a wrist, I suggest waiting until around the second arc to do so. Now, let's get into the explanation of how to make powerful weapons and armor.
Yay!
To begin with, you're going to need to get good at forging and crafting. Around level 50 to be precise, I will explain why later, but the easiest way to do so is to do the following. If you want to get better at forging, make an item that requires almost no materials to make. The best thing to craft for forging is a hoe. The reason for this is because it only requires 1 iron to make, so theoretically you could get to level 50 by only forging the basic hoe. However, once you get better at forging, you can go, and forgive me for my pronunciation, I am horrible at names, to Porcelain's Kitchen, and buy some farming regimen, and you should be able to make a better hoe. Remember, the higher the level requirement to make the weapon, the more experience you get for it. Essentially, this is the same way you get better at crafting, except instead of making hoes, you're going to make basic headgear, or armor, or shields, or accessories. It doesn't really matter since the point is to try and get to a higher level. But the best thing to make to level up your crafting is the Turnip Headgear. I'm pretty sure to access the Turnip Headgear you need to have your crafting at level 30, so it will take some time to get to, but it's worth it. Alternatively, another way to level up your crafting and forging is to upgrade your equipment. I'll explain the importance of upgrading later. If you have done everything I have told you so far, I hope you did, why else would you be watching a how-to video? Unless you wanted to hear my beautiful voice, in which case, I'm flattered. On to the explanation! You should be at level 50. A question you may be asking yourself is, why specifically did I need to get to level 50 in crafting and forging? I can't even make some of the things on this list. First of all, the point of getting to a higher level was to be able to make some of the better armor and weapons for yourself, and to raise your rune points, which is important for everything. But the other reason I had you level up your forging and crafting to level 50 was for the overriding and max level system. What's that, you ask? Well, ever notice that your weapons and armor have levels on them? You probably will have noticed this if you have upgraded your weapons and armor at least once. However, did you also happen to notice that all the forging materials and items also have levels? The reason every item has a level is the max leveling system. The max leveling system gives you bonus stats depending on how many levels you managed to get your weapons and armor before it reached its own max level. The bonuses you receive depends on how many total levels you managed to get your weapons and armor before it reached its own max level. For the sake of making things easier, I will put up what level gives you what bonuses. As you can see, these bonuses can be huge, but you might be confused as to why it says you need level 150 for the best bonuses, but your weapons and armor are only able to get to level 10 at max. Well, my friends, that's because any of the equipment you choose to upgrade levels gets added to the level of the item you upgraded with. For example, let's say I have a broadsword that's level 8. If I upgrade it with 2 level 10 iron ores, I will get the tier 1 bonus. The reason for this is because it's adding the level of my weapon, plus the level of the materials I put into it. Altogether, that broadsword should have 15 attack and 10 magic attack. It may not make sense to put iron ore on a weapon because swords can't use defense, but getting the tier bonuses makes it all worth it. Finding 15 items that are level 10 can be hard, but the easiest items to find at level 10 are ores and flowers. And yes, you can literally only upgrade your sword with flowers, and it'll probably be stronger than most of the weapons you can forge on your own. However, I can understand if you want to get items that benefit the stats of your weapons and armor, but it will take you a very long time unless you are very lucky. Now that I have finished talking about the max level system, it's time to talk about overriding. Have you ever tried to use a weapon as an upgrade to another weapon, but it did absolutely nothing? Well, how about using a weapon to make a weapon? Sounds confusing, I know, but that's where overriding comes into play. It's kind of confusing to explain, but I think I'll start off with giving you an example. Let's say I have a level 10 Chaos Shield, but I want to get the tier 5 bonus on a weaker shield that's easier to make. When I put all the materials into the crafting slots, I decide to put my level 10 Chaos Shield into the components as well. So altogether, I have 5 level 10 materials and a level 10 Chaos Shield. Now I make the new shield, but instead of it having around 20 defense and magic defense, it has around 60 for both, and the resistances that the Chaos Shield had. The reason it did that is because I have overridden the weaker shield stats with the Chaos Shield stats, which is really, really good. However, there is something I have to explain. The first thing is that you can only override the stats of a weaker item with a stronger one, like I did with the Chaos Shield. The second is that the bonuses of an item will not apply if you try to override it with another item, because overriding will only use the base stats of the item in question, meaning you can't use a short sword that has 900 attack, yes, it can get that high using tiers and overriding, to make a sword of higher quality. Well, I mean you can, but it won't give you any of the stats. And if you have a better quality item like, say, a Chaos Shield with 400 defense, and try to use it to make a weaker shield, it will only give the weaker shield the base stats of the Chaos Shield, which is this. There's also something called the Rarity System, but I don't really know how it works. Probably because I only got the game a couple of weeks ago. But if it is requested, I can do a little more research on it and get back to you guys. Anyway, that's everything you need to know how to make really strong weapons and armor in Rune Factory 4. If you need help figuring out anything else in Rune Factory 4, or you have a different game you're having some trouble with, message me in the comments below and I'll see if I can make a video to help you. Until next time, see you later.